Every day, millions of sea creatures and humans experience trauma due to the harsh conditions forced upon the oceans of the world. Happy children, excited schools of fish, and thousands of other organisms experience incredible struggles. This series explores the lives of mermaids and the trauma they've experienced as a result of the harsh conditions of the oceans. Humans are not the only ones who need support. This is Mermaids Anonymous.
Hi everybody, my name's Jennifer.
And I'm Yennefer.
Hi Jennifer, Yennefer.
And we lost our friend to textile dyes about a month ago.
Oh, hold on, Colb. You gotta draw for it.
Oh.
Here you go, Colb.
Thank you.
Colb, are you feeling okay? You look really ill and your face is kind of turning brown.
I'm feeling really hungry. I haven't been able to get any sunlight or nutrients for the last few days, and I don't know what's going on.
It has been pretty dark lately. Do you know why?
Do you guys think it has something to do with that new clothing factory that opened up? I heard they started manufacturing recently.
Oh my gosh, I was so excited. I love that.
Jennifer's right. When they dye the clothing that they make, they dump all the dyed water they use into the ocean.
I wonder if it's blocking out the sunlight.
The dyes dumped from the manufacturing plants at clothing facilities into the ocean can actually have really drastic effects on the local plant life, and it's more common than you might think too. When textile companies dye the textiles that they use, they essentially dunk the fabric and the textile into these giant baths of dyed water.
When the clothing is dyed, companies will literally dump that water back into the oceans. Textile dyes are synthetic, but they also have a complex aromatic structure. These two factors make textile dyes very resistant to water, sunlight, heat, soaps, and even other chemicals. So these dyes are very unwilling to biodegrade. They don't break down, so when there's not enough dyed water, which will vary based on types of dyes and concentration of the dyes in the water, they just sit on the water. The concentration of the dye on the surface will become so saturated that sunlight can literally not penetrate through. And all the underwater plants will lose sunlight and nutrients.
If they didn't use a lot of water, then this problem wouldn't be that big of a deal. The issue here, though, is that this process happens with every dyed garment. And when you think about it that way, it makes sense that this would be a problem.
For a single pair of jeans, from the beginning of the fabric making process to the end, around 2,000 gallons of water are used.
Before we went to the surface, we needed to do some research though, because we wanted to make sure we had facts to back up when we attacked these moguls.
There are 4 things that make textile dyes textile dyes. The first one being the resonance of the electrons. But there are really truly 3 main things that the dye can absorb visible light, have at least one chromophore, and have a conjugated system. So chromophore is what gives the dyes their color. There are also usually ozosomes, which affect the color and the solubility. These functional groups can be a carboxylic acid, sulfonic acid, an amino, and hydroxyl groups.
Textile dyeing can be done with no harm to human life or the ocean.
Traditional textile dyes have countless chemicals in them. So aside from the concentration of the dyes, the chemical makeup of the colorants are also causing harm. Regular dyes consist of various enzymes and acids with the names you can't probably even pronounce, in addition to things like formaldehyde and bleach. In fact, clothes that are made to look faded with that bleached look when you buy them off the shelf look that way because they have been dunked in something with an even higher concentration of bleach.
When the water used in these processes are dumped in the ocean, all of these chemicals are dumped into the ocean as well. So any water the fish or underwater plants absorb or drink is contaminated with harmful substances like bleach and formaldehyde.
Once we discovered how dangerous these dyes were to everyone, we tried to figure out a way if there was a way for these plants to dye the clothes safely.
Yeah, and once we started doing that, we realized there were ways like using pigment instead of dyes. And then it dawned on us that these companies knew what they were doing is harmful and wrong, but they decided to do it anyways. Yeah, so textile dyeing is the easiest with the use of these chemicals. Yes, but there are safer coloring processes that are still easy to do. Like digital printing is a pretty sustainable option, which just swaps the colored water for direct pigment, completely void of harsh chemicals. But dyeing textiles safely can be as easy as reusing our water on previous garments. It's sustainable and inexpensive too. There are ways to reduce the amount of toxic water that's dumped into the ocean on a molecular level too. Cotton fibers and any clothing that is made of cotton are negatively charged. However, so are synthetic dyes. So the charges of these two substances actually repel each other. Because of this, synthetic dyes have to be much, much stronger to take on fabric. Manufacturers using synthetic dyes typically use 75% more water in the dyeing process than they would otherwise have to.
75%?
I know, it's outrageous.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's really funny that you mentioned that because there's actually this process that can really reduce the amount of water it takes because just like you said, the cotton fibers and stuff are negatively charged. So it's really as simple in theory where if you take the cotton fibers and make them positively charged, they'll want to attract with that with the dyes and it'll take a little better. And the process is actually called cationization. And it makes sense when you really think about it is because it's literally when you take the anionic or negatively charged cotton dyes and you react it, I guess, with some sort of positively charged cationic molecule such as 3-chloro-2-hydroxypropyl trimethyl ammonium chloride. That's a really common one. And then the reaction literally just recharges the cotton fibers so that they become positively charged. And that way it becomes a whole lot easier for the dye to take to the cotton. And it can reduce water amounts by like 75 to 90%.
Wow, that is just insane. I did not know that.
Yeah.
So would you guys say that it's relatively easy to remove the amount of toxic chemicals from the textile dyes in the ocean?
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm 100% confident in that belief. Did you guys know that textile dyes aren't just harmful for sea creatures? They're also harmful for humans who wear them too.
Huh? That doesn't make sense.
Okay, no it doesn't, but it's true. We saw it when we were at Heen's warehouse.
So a big risk of these dyes is the oral ingestion or inhalation of these type of dyes in their powdered form in the factories.
Not to mention of the 4,000 dyes that are on the market at the moment, there are more than 100 of them with the potential to form carcinogenic amines, and they're still available on the market. People are not listening to the numbers.
Most companies try to find dyes that are not environmentally harmful or dangerous to the people. So the raw materials employed in the manufacturing of synthetic dyes should not involve compounds known to pose health risks to people.
A large group of the aromatic amines that are either cancer-suspecting agents or established mutagens in the standard Salmonella mutagenicity assay are not allowed to be used. And so genotoxicity of these metabolites generated in mammals are also taken into account when whether dyes are allowed to be used or not.
However, faded garments require a lot more of these chemicals to really get that look that's desired for it. So they require a lot of these chemical baths, which poses a huge risk of getting the residential water pipes and infecting the basic people.
They use acid enzymes, bleach, and formaldehyde, and enzymes are a most common culprit because of how they combine with water. And not all of these chemicals and solvents used are hazardous though, but the World Bank has identified 72 toxic ones that stem solely from textile dyeing, and that is hardly a small amount. It's running rampant and it needs to be controlled.
Oh, please don't go yet.
We tried everything we could. Nothing worked. They wouldn't stop. I promise we'll try everything we can do to raise awareness and stop this from happening to anyone else.
Of course, Colb, anything for you.
should stop now. Fast fashion is going to catch up to you, and the cops will eventually take you down.
Okay.
Yeah, and if anyone knew the effects of fast fashion, I'm sure so much less people would buy.
Well, the thing is, fast fashion is projected to increase 63% by 2030, and to efficiently keep up with our fast fashion, we will continue to use textile dyes to meet the color and design wants of our customers. Okay, and you know what? The greater the demand for the fast fashion we provide at Hien, the more we will buy into the textile industry, including the textile dyes.
But so many are unsafe to plant lives and animals.
Yeah, it isn't unfair to endanger the people. You're misleading them.
Okay, yeah, well, the thing is, as the owner of a company and as a major clothing manufacturer in an industry where textiles generate $1 trillion, I will not allow my company to pull back on textile dye use and let all our other clothing companies keep making fast fashion and getting fast money that should be ours. With the textile industry employing 35 million workers around the world, Hien helps the world by providing jobs for the working class, supporting our economy, and keeps capitalism running strong.
But will it be worth the amount of lives that you take in 30 or 40 years?
Again, at Hien, we will not allow our company to suffer financially because of a few harms to the environment, because price competition is fierce. And our profits are already shrinking due to volatile raw material costs and the increasing required wage pay. I mean, if I didn't have to spend money on my peasantly workers, I wouldn't.
You may be suffering financially, but the people you employ are suffering more.
You know, it's not a problem if a few workers here and there inhale chemicals. They signed up to work, they're getting paid, and it is part of their job. The amount of fashionable clothes we provide to the people is of way greater importance than a few individuals inhaling some chemicals while working, when there are chemicals around us in everyday life anyway.
Well, if you don't disclose that to your workers super openly, I mean, if you did, no one would want to work there, but you're just not. And so how would people know?
I mean, the contract doesn't explicitly state the job includes inhaling toxic chemicals, but that is something they should have thought about before signing up for the job at Hien. Security!
No, please.
No,
No,
come on,
please hear us out.
We gotta go.
Hear us out.
We gotta
No,
go.
Man.
No,
Stop.
no,
Stop.
no.